theory, whether it's right or wrong, that Jesus already came back. What do you think the future holds?
Well, so I mentioned there's in that one part. So after Satan is released, he gathers the nations, and so he gathers the nations to make war with Jesus. Now, here's the interesting part. And obviously, this gets into the realm of like speculation and craziness. What's interesting is that the Bible talks about Mount Zion being in the north. Well, the modern Christian church will probably tell you, oh, well, Jesus is supposed to be reigning in Jerusalem, where like not Netanyahu is. No, that is the place where they said was going to be made desolate in 70 AD. The Romans burned that place down. They destroyed the temple. That's what that was talking about. Like that place was obviously crucified God's son, right? Right. Have they read the Old Testament? Do you know how God reacts to stuff like that? I mean, all the parables were about that God was going to judge them for that. So even David speaks of a heavenly Zion, a heavenly Jerusalem, because back when the times of David, there was no temple in Israel. So people mention this, and I think it's an interesting concept. Mount Meru, the Rupus Nigra, the magnetic North Pole, could that actually have been Mount Zion? And it mentions in Revelation 21 that New Jerusalem descends down. You know, it's like literally like a floating city. And there's all kinds of mythologies around the world of a floating city. Even like Eden, it's like maybe a connection with Eden, where Eden's actually not connected to this earth anymore. It's too perfect. It's God's holy mountain. So it mentions that Satan is going to gather the nations to make war with Jesus in the camp of the saints. What's fascinating is the places we're not allowed to go in this earth, right? Like we're not allowed to go to certain Antarctica. Is it possibly an ice wall? Is there possible more lands past that? Could this be where they're talking about? We can't go to certain places in the North Pole. What's super fascinating is that there's actually stories, you guys can look this up when you guys get a second, that they mentioned that when World War III happens, this was a couple years ago, there's articles about this, that it could possibly be fought around the North Pole, the Arctic. And as somebody who doesn't really, it's like, who cares what polar bears up there? Obviously, just melting ice is what they tell us. Like, why would I care about that? What if that is literally where Jesus and the saints are at this point? Yeah, there you go. Now that that's the kind. No, I was going to say now that kind of news would mean nothing to lots of people, because they're looking for the red cows over in Israel, right? Oh, because they're going to build a third temple. They have to build what the modern church is focused on is that a third temple needs to be built so an Antichrist can go in there, so they can start sacrificing again, only for them to stop sacrificing when they haven't sacrificed there for 2,000 years. Well, the news actually could be talking about this Revelation 20 news where, like, literally the idea of a one world government could actually be the point to go make war with the saints, not actually the Great Tribulation and all that stuff. Maybe it's is the tail wagging the dog. And we're shown all these. Go back to Thanos again. So Thanos' ship is called the Sanctuary, right? And if we're have all this predictive programming of its alien threat, think Project Blue Beam, like we're going to have like an alien invasion. Ronald Reagan gives a speech about if aliens invade, oh, wow, we'll put away our differences and we'll form together for a common good against this alien threat and this existential threat. What if the threat would be this floating spaceship that could actually be a floating city, like a la Independence Day? And then they go to say, we need to make war with this for humanity's, for just to avoid this extinction level event on Earth. And it actually is, they're going to fight against the King of Kings.
Dude, that is awesome. That is awesome. So let me get this right, because I'm stupid. You think there is we're just talking here, that there could be a possibility that Antarctica is where Israel is really supposed to be?
No, I've said that I think that a lot of people have questioned the geographic location of where Israel is.
I agree.
For the one, the Bible mentions all these mountains in Israel. there's only one mountain, I think, in Israel. It's Mount Hermon, which is interesting that that's the one that said to where the watchers came down. But like Mount Zion is a hill, the Mount of Olives is a hill. All these places have little hills. And so when the Bible describes Mount Zion, it's like the biggest mountain in the world. It's like something special about it. Could it be that it's a black magnetic rock? Could it be the black rock?
Snaps. That's a giant black rock mountain, right? That I've heard people talk about.
Yeah, the Rupus Nigra. So if you see that old Mercator map,
sounds like you did my pronoun right there. Go on.
They have the exactly. If you see that old Mercator map, there's like 4 different little lands around Antarctica, or not Antarctica, the North Pole, and then there's these rivers, and there's like this whirlpool. What's interesting about it, Eden mentions there's 4 rivers that descend out of it, that come down from God's holy mountain. Is that possibly showing that? And again, like, you're not allowed to go there. I even mentioned, like, the only reason I bring Antarctica up again is because that there's the possibility that our compasses point to true north in like the northernmost part of our realm. You know, like say if we live on a broad plain, like the Bible just says that they march up a broad plain. If the middle is the North Pole, well, that would be the north of everything. But I've actually, I've liked the people's theory that the moon is basically a mirror image of like what the Earth actually looks like.
Super interesting, the moon.
And so if you think about it, if what our realm would be the circuit of the sun. So we would be in this one part of it, but there's more lands past that. Literally, there would be like outer space, right? I don't believe in like Star Wars outer space and Star Trek, but there is space outside of here, extraterrestrial. You know, is it possible that the realm is bigger, and then there's a possibility that the northernmost part of our realm, or the center of our realm, is further than Antarctica? Or maybe it is just the North Pole. I guess the truth is we don't know, because we're not allowed to go there. And obviously, even if I could, I'm not a fan of the cold. So
Johnny wants to go. He just tweeted that he wants somebody to pay for him to go to Antarctica.
There's that. You watched the debate, right? There's some rich guy has offered, I can't remember who it is, has offered the flat earth people, like he sent out a blast to all the people who are flat earthers saying, hey, I'll pay for you to go to Antarctica and watch the sun circle the sky for 24 hours if you want to. And now, I'm not in the flat earth game, but I would happily take that money. If everybody else is afraid, I think people would trust me to document it. I'd take a camera and just shoot at the sky. And